not. We'll see you guys later.
Karoline is struggling today. Do you guys remember when Donald Trump's press secretary, Karoline Leavitt, used to remove the cross around her neck when she was talking about Jeffrey Epstein and the files? Well, now, this may be the most I've seen her struggle since those days, just a few months back. She can't quite spin this war that the United States and Israel have launched in a joint manner against Iran because, if it were a simple decapitation, it would be one thing. But this has now spiraled into a situation where the replacements have all been killed because Israel is whipping around Donald Trump on a leash. Trump isn't standing up for us, and 6 U.S. service members have died. 160 school children have died. Thousands of Iranians have died over the past few days, and Netanyahu continues to wage this war as Trump helps. Karoline Leavitt walks out on Capitol Hill and continues the relentless spinning this administration has required for this botched job of an invasion. Make sure you drop a like. Make sure you subscribe to the Adam Mockler feed if you appreciate the relentless fact-checking. Some people have said they've been unsubscribed from my channel due to a glitch, so double check below. And let's just start from the beginning. Karoline Leavitt walks out and says this.
How are you?
Good.
You're getting close to your due date, and so am I. Hi, everybody. Good to see you out here. It's a busy day here, as you all know. The president will be meeting with defense contractors here at the White House in a few minutes with Secretary Hegseth. This is a pre-scheduled meeting, and the purpose of it is to talk about the president's aggressive and fierce support for rapidly increasing the ability of U.S. manufacturers to produce American-made weapons, which we know are the best in the world. The president signed an executive order on this earlier this year. This is a long-held policy objective of this administration, and so he'll be speaking directly with these defense contractors. But of course, as the president has maintained, we have more than enough ammunition, weapons, stockpiles to achieve the objectives of Operation Epic Fury.
We know this is not true. The United States has to pull back giving munitions to Ukraine. There are even reports that we were going to beg them for assistance, which is just the opposite of what should be happening. We also know that CSIS munitions expert Seth Jones said at the bottom here, while Israel does have a range of its own stockpiles of weapons, both offensive missiles, drones, as well as air defense systems. But I think the reality is neither Israel nor the United States have sufficient munitions, either offensive or defensive, for a war that really lasts weeks into months. So that is why they are scrambling to increase the amount of munitions that are being produced by manufacturers in the United States at a time when the United States economy, when jobs are already struggling. It's like Trump wants to turn us into a wartime economy. It's like that's his goal. Karoline Leavitt then turns and does a Fox News hit where she makes the situation even worse. And then when she goes back to the press, they ask her some questions about what she just said on Fox News. It's an interesting sequence of events. Let's start off with the Fox News clip where she's talking about Russia sharing intelligence with Iran right after we lifted sanctions on Russian oil. So we had sanctions on India. India was buying oil from Russia, and we said, stop doing that, and they stopped. But after our oil shortage has gotten very, very bad, we lifted sanctions so India can continue to give money to Russia. Russia is now using that money to help Iran, and Fox News is calling her out. Listen.
I wanted to start you off this afternoon because we have confirmed reports from U.S. officials that Russia is providing intelligence to Iran to help it target U.S. assets in the region. I'm sure this is something that does not please the president whatsoever. Has he spoken to Putin about it?
Well, look, I'll leave that to the president to answer himself. But what I will tell you, John, we don't comment on intelligence reports that are leaked to the press. Whether or not this happened, frankly, it does not really matter because President Trump and the United States military are absolutely decimating the rogue Iranian terrorist regime.
That's what they said 8 months ago. They said 8 months ago that the regime was obliterated, that the nuclear capacities were done. It's also rich to hear Karoline Leavitt say that they're not going to leak intel to the press when this administration's entire MO over the past 5 days has been making up intelligence, just making shit up, saying that there's ICBMs coming our way, but no, actually there's nuclear grade weapons that are coming our way, but no, actually there's an imminent threat. Like over and over, there's just different excuses from the administration. and they're leaking shit to the press that's not even real. Karoline Leavitt then continues.
And of course, the overall mission in this operation is to ensure that Iran can never again possess a nuclear weapon. That was the real imminent threat that was posed by Iran to the United States and our personnel in the region, and President Trump and the United States military.
Did she say never again possess a nuclear weapon? They've never even possessed one. Let me listen.
The overall mission in this operation is to ensure that Iran can never again possess a
nuclear weapon. They haven't ever possessed one. The reports that the Trump administration referred to, that they lied about, said that they were weeks away from possessing material that would have allowed them to be months away from building the structures that would have allowed them to be like years away from actually obtaining nukes. Now, of course, we don't want that to happen. We don't want Iran to have nukes, but the idea that there was an imminent threat of a nuclear weapon is false. That hasn't even been claimed by anyone ever before. Karoline Leavitt literally just made that shit up on the spot. To continue,
that in order for the president to have a voice in whoever takes over Iran, there has to be absolute total capitulation. As the president said, unconditional surrender on the part of Iran. I mean, they're not a regime that's been known to offer unconditional surrender. Does he think he can get that done?
Well, what President Trump means when he says unconditional surrender is when he, as commander-in-chief of the United States military and the leader of the free world, determines that Iran can no longer pose a threat to the United States of America and to our troops and our personnel in the Middle East. That is, again, the ultimate goal of Operation Epic Fury.
That in order for the president...
What did she just say? Dude, Karoline Leavitt is struggling so hard with this. So Donald Trump posts unconditional surrender in all caps on Truth Social and says that's when this war ends, when Iran's unconditional surrender has happened. Then Karoline gets asked, hey, what does unconditional surrender mean? We have to define that, right? And she says, when Donald Trump says that the regime doesn't pose a threat, it has surrendered. Number one, that's circular logic. Number two, that means that Donald Trump will likely be satisfied by replacing the Ayatollah with like his, one of his secondary or tertiary people. They took out the next few in line, but they're just going to find somebody from the regime, replace him, and the Iranian regime will then continue as it was, repressing the people with just a younger guy. Congrats, you killed the 87-year-old Ayatollah and replaced him with somebody who has a marginally different ideology. This is all absolutely BS, and now they're saying that unconditional surrender is what they want when, first, it was nuclear attacks being decapacitated. Then it was ICBMs being eroded. Then it was the Navy being eroded. The objective has changed over and over and over, and Karoline is really struggling to explain it. Here's what I like. When Karoline Leavitt then turns back to the press, they continue to follow up on the Fox News questions. One of the reporters goes, hey, you just said on Fox News a few moments ago that it doesn't even matter if Russia is giving Iran info. Why would it not matter?
You just said on Fox that it doesn't really matter if Russia is giving Iran information about military assets. Why doesn't it matter if U.S. military is put in danger by Russia? And is that
really good question?
What I meant, Kristen, and thank you for giving me a chance to make it very clear, is that it clearly is not making a difference with respect to the military operations in Iran, because we are completely decimating them. As I said earlier, we've taken out nearly 30 of their ships. Their Navy has been deemed combat ineffective. 90% reduction in ballistic missile retaliatory strikes against the United States and our Gulf Arab and partners in the region. So, of course, we are achieving...
None of this means anything. You're just bragging that you went to war? You're bragging that you've done nothing other than go to war and waste billions of dollars per day? I've said this repeatedly, but if you're going to go and decapitate the regime of some Middle Eastern country, then you have to know that the United States has tried this experiment time and time again and has failed every single time. You can't just remove the bad guy and expect the country to magically fix itself. You need some sort of plan to have long-lasting institutions that can maintain peace. And even with that plan, it is very likely the country just evolves into civil war, as happened after Gaddafi was killed, as happened after we kidnapped and then ended up killing Saddam Hussein. The country just got worse. Power vacuums were filled with rogue militia groups who were radical, more radical than leaders sometimes. This is what happens. So the fact that we took out a few of their ships means absolutely nothing to me. I do not care. And as we know, Donald Trump got pulled into this war from Netanyahu. I've made multiple videos explaining this. We know this, but the new reporting is that Donald Trump wanted this to go exactly like Venezuela. He even mentioned that earlier to Dana Bash on CNN. He goes, this is supposed to go like Venezuela. In Venezuela, they just removed the number 1 and replaced it with the number 2. But Netanyahu sideswiped that mission, killed the number 2, the number 3, the number 4, and the number 5 in Iran, and now Trump is sitting there like, what the hell? We just got sucked into another forever war. Karoline Leavitt then gets asked, how is this America first? And what I just described to you all, that sequence of events, that's not America first. So she has no good answer.
MAGA influencer divide on the Iran war. It seems like everyone acts, everybody's going at each other. Any message to both sides of the aisle?
I would just remind people X is not real life. This president lives in the real world. And with respect to MAGA, President Trump is the leader of MAGA. He's the creator of the MAGA movement. And there is nothing more America first than taking out terrorists who have maimed and killed our own servicemen and women.
You can say anything is America first then. I mean, I really wish we could apply this logic to Ukraine equally. There is nothing more America first than funding our ally Ukraine so they can beat the bad guy Russia for pennies on the dollar, for less money than this is costing. Like, way less money than this is costing could have freed Ukraine, could have saved Ukraine. For way less money than this is costing, we could have helped the starving people of Gaza, or put sanctions on Israel until they stop the settlements in the West Bank. For less money than this could have cost.
Who chant death to America and who pose a threat to the homeland. And so President Trump is a leader of the peace through strength foreign policy doctrine. He attempted peace through diplomacy exhaustively and extensively with the rogue Iranian regime. And so they have been struck with the strength and the sheer might and will of the United States Armed Forces. And President Trump has proven he's a man of his word. If you go back and look, not just over the past year as president, but in his first term and in many years in his private life as well, when he has said that the Iranian regime can never obtain a nuclear bomb, well, now he's finally acting on it, and he has the courage to do what so many presidents in the past did not. We'll see you guys later.
Say Donald Trump is a man of his word. He's the biggest liar of all time. He conned the entire MAGA fan base by saying he would start no new wars. That was a lie. He would end the war between Russia and Ukraine and Israel and Palestine. Those were lies. That he would lower prices, end inflation, that he would stop the humiliation of the United States on the global stage. Quite literally, none of this happened. Absolutely despicable lying from Karoline Leavitt, who's very clearly struggling to spin this. Now, this is a good question. She gets asked about Russia and Ukraine, a topic I really care about, so let's take a listen.
Has the president's faith in Russia to cut a peace deal with Ukraine been shaken by the knowledge that Russia is apparently supplying intelligence to Iran in this conflict?
I think the president would say that peace is still an achievable objective with respect to the Russia-Ukraine war. You saw Special Envoy Witkoff put out a tweet yesterday announcing a new prisoner exchange between both Russia and Ukraine. So
their entire framing of the situation in this negotiation is wrong. Donald Trump seems to understand the idea of using maximum leverage to your advantage in order to scare your opponent, but he doesn't understand it in this situation. He understands it when trying to negotiate with NATO or get a new ballroom, but when it comes to Vladimir Putin, instead of saying, hey, there will only be peace when we achieve a total withdrawal from Vladimir Putin and we inflict maximum damage on him, rather than using strong words like that to scare Vladimir Putin and make him actually rethink it, we're like, no, we're going to get to peace. So we're just waiting on him to, come over to our side. It's going to happen soon. I'm going to leave it there. If you appreciate these videos, drop a like, subscribe. I'll see you all in the next one, and peace out.